What does it mean to be family when the ones you love turn their backs on you? The air in the lawyer's office was thick with anticipation, the kind that presses against your chest and makes every breath deliberate. I stood near the door, my hands clasped tightly, watching the faces of my husband's family, people I'd cooked for, laughed with, mourned beside. They sat around a mahogany table, their eyes darting between the lawyer and the will in his hands. My husband, David, had been gone for 3 months, taken by a sudden heart attack that left me and our son, Ethan, reeling. Today was the reading of his inheritance, a formality I thought would bring closure. Instead, it was the moment everything I believed in shattered. The lawyer, Mr. Thompson, cleared his throat and began reading. David's estate was modest, but meaningful: a small savings account, the house we'd built together, and a collection of his father's antique watches. I listened, expecting the usual divisions. The house to me, the savings split between me and Ethan, maybe a watch for his brother, Mark. But as Mr. Thompson's voice droned on, I noticed the room's atmosphere shift. Mark leaned forward, his wife, Clara, whispering something sharp in his ear. David's mother, Evelyn, sat ramrod straight, her lips pursed. Ethan, my 16-year-old son, sat beside them, his head bowed, avoiding my gaze. And to my wife, Laura, Mr. Thompson read, "I leave my love, my gratitude, and the strength to carry on." I waited, but there was no mention of the house, the money, or the watches. My heart thudded. The room grew quieter, the silence oppressive. Then Ethan stood, his chair scraping against the floor. "Mom," he said, his voice trembling but firm, "you need to leave. This is family." The words hit like a physical blow. My son, me Ethan, who I'd raised through sleepless nights, scraped knees, and teenage heart-adjusted with his father's family, his eyes cold. I looked at Mark, at Clara, at Evelyn, hoping for an explanation, but they avoided my gaze. The lawyer shifted uncomfortably, his papers rustling. I opened my mouth to speak, but no words came. Instead, I turned and walked out, the door clicking shut behind me like a final judgment. In the hallway, I leaned against the wall, my vision blurring with tears. Family. The word echoed, mocking me. I'd given everything to David's family: 20 years of holidays, compromises, and love. And now, my own son had cast me out. But as the shock faded, a memory surfaced, sharp and unbidden. 2 years ago, I'd found a letter in David's desk, tucked inside an old book. It was from a woman named Sarah, written in a tone too intimate for a friend. I'd confronted David, and he'd sworn it was nothing, a momentary lapse. I'd believed him, or at least I'd wanted to. But now, standing in that sterile hallway, I wondered if that letter held the key to this betrayal. I didn't go home. Instead, I drove to the library, where I knew I could access public records. My hands shook as I typed Sarah's name into the database, cross-referencing it with David's. It didn't take long to find her: Sarah Mitchell, a paralegal who'd worked with David's firm a decade ago. There was no record of an affair, but there was something else: a property deed, co-signed by David and Sarah, for a small cabin upstate. My stomach churned. The deed was dated a year before Ethan was born. Back at the house, I dug through David's old files, my fingers sifting through years of secrets. I found more: bank statements showing transfers to Sarah, emails about our little place. The truth hit hard. David had another life, one he'd hidden from me, but not from his family. They'd known. And Ethan? Had they poisoned him against me? Or had he found out on his own? The next morning, I called a lawyer of my own. Her name was Rachel, a sharp woman with a no-nonsense voice. I told her everything: the will, the cabin, Sarah. Rachel listened, then said, "Laura, you have grounds to contest this. But it's going to be a fight." I didn't hesitate. "Then let's fight." The twist came a week later, when Rachel uncovered a bombshell. Sarah wasn't just David's mistress, she was his cousin. Not a lover, but a confidant he'd trusted with secrets he never shared with me. The cabin wasn't a love nest. It was a safe haven for David's private struggles with depression, a side of him he'd hidden from everyone but Sarah and, apparently, his family. They'd kept it from me to protect his image, but in doing so, they'd excluded me from his truth. Ethan, caught in their loyalty to David's memory, had lashed out, believing I'd never understood his father. Armed with this, I didn't just contest the will, he redefined our future. I sold the house, splitting the proceeds with Ethan, but I kept the watches. They weren't just heirlooms. They were a reminder of time I'd never get back. I moved to a small apartment, started therapy with Ethan, and slowly, painfully, we began to rebuild. I forgave him, not because he deserved it, but because I wanted him to learn what family really means: not blood, not secrets, but choice. In the end, I didn't just change the will. I changed how I saw myself. I wasn't just David's widow or Ethan's mother. I was Laura, a woman who could walk away from betrayal and build something new. And that was enough. Yindi.